ready to strap in. It's going to be a heck of a ride. It's like drinking from a fire hose. Never a dull moment, but yes, you'll hear the stories you won't hear anywhere else, and we appreciate you being here with us for them today. I'm Justin Barclay. Good morning, Freedom Fam. Man, we are fired up for a fantastic show today. And big news, Supreme Court rulings look bad, and we'll let you vent and complain, but I have some good news, a twist I want to share with you coming up. Hang on, folks, here we go. Don't matter what skin you're in. God bless you. Woo! Come on. Freedom. That's the fight we're in. So much to cover this morning, and we'll get into all of it as we welcome the folks in watching, no matter where you are. The behind-the-scenes live stream, as we call it, is now front and center, folks. Getting into our big three and more. Don't forget to say thank you to the sponsors, the folks who support this program and make it possible each and every day. MyPillow.com/Justin. MyStore.com/Justin with big 50% off for America 250. Speaking of America 250 sales, My Pure Health Solutions, Maha, Missy, and the team getting you set up with 25% off for America 250. That only lasts another, I think, week or so. So if you want to get, this is important. You don't want to miss out on this. In fact, she'll be here with us talking the biggest Maha stories today and a big Maha update a little bit later on in the program. And our big three, powered by our good friends at Heartland Home Mortgage, Dave Galloway and the team, ready whether you want to buy, refi, home equity line of credit. They can help you do each of those things. They've helped us. We've saved thousands each and every time we've worked with the folks at Heartland Home Mortgage, and so many other people to listen to this program have too. So reach out to Dave today and see how they can help you. Let's fire up inside at hhmlending.com, the big three. SCOTUS blows it. They got birthright wrong. We'll go into more detail and depth on that in just a moment. But first, the DOJ is launching a full around and find out mission, folks. A grand jury probe into the Marxist mogul Neville Roy Singham and his funding of leftist groups. Why this is so important? As we see the takeover of communism, socialist candidates winning everywhere. And I don't know if you saw last night, there was another one that won in Colorado. Folks, this thing is real. I mean, it really is getting undeniable at this point. If you're not paying attention, we're going to bring you up to speed. Not only do you have Mom Donnie, but you have the Qami Abdul al-Sayed Qami,
she's on top of it.
Muslim extremist here in America, in Detroit, in Michigan specifically, that wants to be the next senator here. We'll keep an eye on all of that. But the story that we'll dive a little bit deeper into today is the Department of Justice is going after this guy, this billionaire who, again, lives in like Shanghai, and he's been funding all sorts of weird leftist violence in some cases, it looks like. They're going to look into all of that. Antifa, all of those BLM movements, etc., all coming up. All right, the Supreme Court, next up on the docket, got birthright citizenship wrong. Stephen Miller went into, I think, a really good detail on this story, and I'm going to give you the latest on this in just a second. But they did get something good. They got something right. They upheld the ban for trans, or I call it, people with the wrong equipment wanting to play the sports that they shouldn't be. It's a 6-3 decision there, ruling states can exclude those athletes with the wrong equipment. When you say trans and trans women and girls or whatever, I think it's the language just clouds this. Let's call it what it is. And last but not least, as I mentioned, this is the case I think most of us are probably upset about as we watch. So we think may have been like a really, I think the best way to describe it is a betrayal in some of these rulings lately from Barrett particularly. And I don't know if you're watching what I'm watching, but people have had enough. Here's Stephen Miller laying the case out.
This is absolutely a deep knife wound in the heart of the American Republic. Look, Jesse, I can step tomorrow onto the deck of a 747. It does not mean that I am the pilot of that plane and I'm qualified to fly it. Just physically being on U.S. soil does not make you a citizen or qualified to carry on or capable of executing the inheritance of this country. We have people from all over the world, from third world nations that on their own would have never invented the wheel, let alone modern technology, let alone medicine, let alone air travel. And they can just come into the country, have a baby at a hospital, paid for by you and me, and then that baby's automatically a citizen.
It's wild because the founders never would have even envisioned this was the possibility.
That baby can sit on a jury when he turns 18 and sit in judgment of you and sit in judgment of me and sit in judgment of our loved ones, can decide who our mayors are, our governors are, our presidents are. Citizenship means nothing if it is open.
Stephen, he didn't go far enough. They can become president. Those babies coming, particularly in the places we've seen, you're looking at anchor babies and ideas and thinking about places like Mexico and, coming here for a better life, etc. But there's a whole other thing happening out in California right now where folks from China, Get that again.
China.
Yeah, folks from China. They are coming here. They're having the babies here so that they can get all the perks of being citizenships. I mean, tuition in California and some of those universities, and they can be involved in politics. People that have they aren't American in any sense of the way. They're going to be able to be. So imagine a young child, right, born here, now an American citizen. They take that child back to China. They pump them full of all. What kind of sounds familiar? Did this happen before? I'm thinking of another. It's a Manchurian Candidate, but this has already happened. It's Obama, if he was born here, I don't know. Depending on who you ask, but they could take this kid back, pump him full of all the propaganda and everything else, and then when the kid is old enough to get into the colleges here, we'll do the rest of the work because our colleges are so left and so out of left field. They'll do the rest of the work, and they'll pump them full of the rest of the bad stuff, and this is where it gets wild. But that kid can rise to the ranks, and because they were born on soil here, that kid could be the president of the United States, a real life Manchurian Candidate. Imagine that.
Everyone, the idea that you could have a cruise ship filled with foreigners and they just dock at a port for an hour and someone has a baby, Jesse, the baby's an American citizen. They can vote in every election for the rest of their lives. They can be living in a foreign country and cashing welfare checks from American citizens.
All right. That is part of the story. And I thought he did a very good job laying that out for folks to understand. We're going to celebrate some of the wins, some of the good news and all that today too. So we'll get into that. But if I may, I just want to make sure that we understand this in all of its massive implications and complications, the consequences that there are to this ruling. So again, this is just part of it. This is just a little piece of the insanity when you pull back layers of the onion on that. I described it yesterday, and then I saw, and this is really interesting. Somebody posted this. We're going to share it a little later on today on social media, but this was fantastic, and it's exactly what I said. Where did that go? Oh, Charlie. This is End Wokeness over on Exit. Charlie Kirk left a tweet for everything. Imagine if a pregnant lady broke into your house and had a baby in your living room and then says she now has a legal right to stay in your house forever. That's how insane it is, granting birthright citizenship to illegals, people that were breaking the law, people that have broken the law, people that should never have been here in the first place. You know, that is, I think, a fantastic way of putting this. Now, some of these people are here, and legally, although it wasn't necessarily legal, they are here legally, and it's because the way this whole thing was laid out with the Biden, the Obama administration, to folks who have really, I mean, they've been plotting this the whole time, folks. None of this is happening by accident, okay? It's not. But you got to put a stop to this, because otherwise we don't have a nation. We don't have a country. There really is no other way to put it. That's how serious this is. At the same time, we have a communism issue in our country as well. So the Supreme Court opens up the floodgates to what I think might be the single greatest threat to American sovereignty in our lifetime yesterday with this. They ruled citizenship means nothing, absolutely nothing in this ruling. Just again, think about what that actually means. What does it mean to be a citizen? What does it mean to be an American? There shouldn't be some sort of abstract legal debate, by the way. We know they got this wrong because we know the 14th Amendment, and we can go back to the history. President Trump has brought this up. In fact, I think he talked about it, was it yesterday or the day before? In fact, I don't know if you saw, this was a good one too. Trump actually congratulated in a post. If nothing else, you gotta love the sense of humor he's got. you gotta love it. Actually congratulated President Xi Jinping of China.
Let's say China.
China.
Yeah, he congratulated President Xi in this epic Supreme Court ruling yesterday. And here's the post. I would like to congratulate President Xi and the great country of China on their massive birthright citizenship. President Xi and the great country of
China.
Because it is. That's exactly what it is. It's a win for China. It's a win for America's enemies. It is a major loss for America. Here he is talking about it a while back, though, particularly the 14th Amendment and how they got all of this wrong.
And I'm going.
You're going to go to the Supreme Court tomorrow.
This is back when he was considering going for the oral arguments.
Because I have listened to this argument for so long, and this is not about Chinese billionaires who are billionaires from other countries who all of a sudden have 75 children or 59 children in one case or 10 children becoming American citizens. This was about slaves. And if you take a look, slaves, we're talking about slaves from the Civil War. And if you take a look at when it was filed, all of this legislation, all of this, everything having to do with birthright citizenship, it was at the end of the Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
The reason was it had to do with the babies of slaves and the protection of the babies of slaves. It didn't have to do with the protection of multi-millionaires and billionaires wanting to have their children get an American citizenship. It is the craziest thing I've ever seen. It's been so badly handled by legal people over the years. If you look...
He's right. He's absolutely right. And this again is there is hope. I don't want to leave you sort of feeling hopeless or helpless or thinking at some point like there's nothing that nothing we can do and nothing's going to help. Because there's more. There is a Supreme Court cheat code we'll talk about coming up here in just a little bit. But this is common sense. This is not an abstract legal debate. This is demographic destruction by design. Birth tourism from China, anchor babies from cartels, temporary visa holders, and somebody brought up in the chat. So all those Haitians that have to go back home because they've been here on temporary protective status since 2010, all of them that have had babies and kids here, those kids, they're all permanent now. They're all citizens. Am I reading this right? We're talking hundreds of thousands of new Americans every single year who have zero connection here to our culture, to our values, to our history. And what about their loyalty? They're loyal to the foreign country that sent them. You see it every day when you're watching, some of these flags that are being waved at protests, etc. It's not an American flag. The 14th Amendment was written after the Civil War, to Trump's point. It's there to protect freed slaves, to hand out citizenship like candy to anyone who can sneak across the border or buy a plane ticket. The founders could never even imagine this. Did you know what it took to get here back then? By the way, that's one of the things that made this country great, because only the strong could survive that trip, and then only the strong could survive here to pioneer their way out west in this country. To make it in places where it was, absolutely deplorable, some of the conditions early on in this country, to be able to make it. Some of us are still trying to do that in 2026. But you got to have the strong surviving. That's what made this country amazing. And you overload it with people that didn't have to do anything to get here. And you combine that with what's happening in the schools and it's happening to the kids now, and they don't want us to keep. In fact, they're willing to give it away because they never thought it was great. They never thought it was great. They were indoctrinated. They were taught that it wasn't. That's part of that communism issue we got. We'll talk about that coming up here. But citizenship, folks, in this country, especially on the 250th anniversary of its founding, as we approach that day, just days away now, citizenship is sacred. It's got to mean something. It's got to be earned. It should be protected. It should be reserved for those who actually belong here, who are a part of the fabric of this nation. This ruling doesn't just weaken us. It invites invasion, one without armies, and it turns our hospitals into citizenship factories, our borders into revolving doors, and our future into a diluted shadow of what America was always meant to be. If we don't fight back, and like I said, Trump's got a Supreme Court cheat code. We'll fill you in on how I think this is going to walk out here in a minute, but there's got to be legislation, amendments, unrelenting pressure on every branch of the government. We won't recognize this country. We darn near don't right now, but in about 20 years, it'll look like a shadow of what it once was. And our children, your grandchildren, they'll all inherit a nation where America is just a stamp on a passport, unfortunately, not a bond of blood and soil and shared destiny, the things that make it what it is. I mean, this is dangerous. It's existentially dangerous. And the time to wake up is right now. That being said, I'll say good morning to a few folks who are hanging out with us behind the scenes live stream today. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you always for being here with us, especially the new changes in the way things have played out over the last week or so. Your support means more than ever before right now. And you can help share the program when you go to click Facebook, Twitter, X, Rumble, Getter, Locals, YouTube, you name it, something cool inside the store. We got the America 250 gear inside there right now. When you share, you're going to win something sweet. You'll be able to pick out your favorite, whether it's a shirt or a mug or a hoodie, any number of things. Go shopping. But everybody that shares today gets in the running at justinbarclay.com/store. That's justinbarclay.com/store. Go there, do it now, click share, and get in the running to win. Back after the latest headlines from the Midwesterner at themidwesterner.news.
Here are your headlines from the Midwesterner this Wednesday, July 1st. I'm Robin Poffman. Governor Whitmer taking to her X page to talk with a law enforcement officer, the sheriff of Kalamazoo County, about guns and safety this summer. Listen.
How can we stay safe this summer, and what kind of work are you doing and counsel are you giving to the people of Kalamazoo?
So we're trying to make sure people understand that there are tools in place and that there are partners and that they can reach out to the sheriff's office, they can reach out to their local law enforcement, and they should not be afraid to ask for the assistance, or when they see a problem, they can address it with us, and hopefully we can form a partnership.
And the mayor of Flint at a news conference at Flint City Hall asking residents to join in testing that can identify cancer years before symptoms. Organizers say the study is designed to help residents in North Flint since the city's water crisis there. For these stories and more, visit the Midwesterner at themidwesterner.news.
There you have it. By the way, folks, big day today as we have so many watching the behind-the-scenes live stream. As always, we'll say good morning to the folks over on the Freedom Fam, the VIPs on Locals. Panda, M. Balder, good to see you. Patriot Dean, as always. Gritter, always good to see you, no matter what they say, Grit. Michigan Joe, good to see you lurking, whether it be wherever you're watching today. Sharon's in the house too. The Rumblers, Gary, SJ, TK, D1P. Such a time as this, and so many others. Kelly as well. And on the book, Melissa, good to see you. Thank you for sharing today. Sherry, thank you for sharing. Jason, where is Jason? I was just thinking about him. And this is Brian. Brian's in a little late, ladies and gentlemen. Somebody's got a lot of explaining to do. And bring Brian back up to speed on what's going on. Thank you guys for sharing the program today and for getting the word out about what is going on in these stories that matter most. You don't get truth, logic, and common sense. Got to make sure we get the word out about truth, logic, and common sense when it comes to some of the stories that people just won't hear. It's completely lost on folks. So what is the Trump cheat code? In fact, there was Just the News did a story about this the other day. Because look, I want to be honest with you. I told you a couple days ago. We actually didn't expect this was going to go any other way. We didn't expect. We thought, we knew this was kind of how this was going to lay out, but there are conversations right now particularly around what this might look like and how all of this is going to play out. In fact, I think it was yesterday, even before the decisions came out, I meant to pull this up. Just the News did a whole story on this, and I think it was good to prime people for it, because you can imagine. First of all, look at how, the headlines say it right now. Betrayal. Betrayal is one right here. MAGA supporters are furious after betrayal by Amy Coney Barrett. Of course we are. Of course we are. You remember how hard we had to fight, how hard Trump fought? Some even, this is funny, some even branding her a DEI hire at this point. There's a Daily Mail. That's so good. A DEI hire at this point. She's just not who she said she was. She's just not who she said she was. So Just the News has this. Trump's efforts, and this is the good news. So look, folks, here's the thing. Oftentimes you get headlines, you get news, but you never get, okay, well, what does this mean? And what do I do with this now? Like where do I go from here? And that's what we often try to do when we discuss these stories. I want to give you the headlines, but no matter what they say, I still remind you that the good news is God's still on the throne. And by the way, there is a plan. So here is this is what the Just the News story says. In case if you're born in an Olive Garden restaurant, you're an Italian, so good. I like that. I may have to use that one moving forward. That's solid. So the Just News article basically says Trump's efforts to reverse birthright citizenship may succeed with or without SCOTUS. And how does that all look? Well, legislation is going to be one of it. I've seen it. I've actually seen it put as simple as this. Just passing the SAVE Act and pushing this pin back into it. Of course, Congress is out. They're out of town. They're celebrating the 4th. Some of those folks don't believe in the 4th, so they're probably just having barbecues for no reason whatsoever. I guarantee Democrats, folks on the left, they're just out. They're not interested in any actual history. They're not interested in the truth of the founding of this nation. So, they're ashamed of it. They are. These are people that hate it, etc. So anyway, I thought this was worth it. Trump's efforts to reverse birthright citizenship may succeed with or without SCOTUS. Several bills, most notably the Birthright Citizenship Act in 2025, seek to end or sharply restrict automatic birthright citizenship. So what's that look like? Well, there's a couple of ways. There's a couple of ways you can skin this cat. You would amend the Immigration Nationality Act. Will that pass constitutional muster? That's another question that's been asked here. But they've walked through this, and I've actually got this up on the stack today too. So everything, by the way, if you haven't done it, justinbarclay.com. Sign up for the good newsletter. It is a way that we can stay in touch through all the craziness, all the insanity, all the things that are going on these days. But at the same time, you will be able to access the stack at a moment's notice. So I'll put the link in the chat for folks here. But you can get right to it. You can read these stories, and you can flip through what's what when it comes to this stuff. This is good reading though. So Just the News over on the stack, and this link is posted up for you right now, so you can go in and check it out. But here's what else they say. The Supreme Court, this is again put out yesterday before the actual ruling came out, and again I told you it was expected. Supreme Court expected to rule a high stakes challenge of President Trump's 2025 executive order. All right. In the event the court rules against Trump, a number of congressional Republicans have legislation pending that would practically accomplish what a different ruling would have done. American citizenship is a priceless privilege. Brian Babin, congressman from Texas, a Republican, tells Just the News that must be protected, not exploited. We must restore integrity to our immigration system, uphold the rule of law, and protect the value of American citizenship for generations to come. Several bills, most notably the Birthright Citizenship Act, introduced by Babin and Lindsey Graham, senator from South Carolina, one day after Trump's inauguration in 2025, similar versions in recent Congress, seek to end or sharply restrict automatic birthright citizenship by amending the Immigration and Nationality Act. The measures would reinterpret the 14th Amendment subject to the jurisdiction thereof clause to grant citizenship at birth only to children with at least one parent who is a U.S. citizen, national, lawful permanent resident residing in the U.S., or an LPR, lawful permanent resident serving in the military. The exploitation of the U.S. birthright citizenship through anchor babies involves pregnant illegal immigrants, as you know, predominantly from those Latin American countries, giving birth to children in the U.S. territories, thus automatically becoming citizens, which may later serve as a basis for family sponsorship or complicate the deportation project, which is what we're seeing happen right now. So that brings us to the next point, and I'm sure your next question, I mean, they can't even get all of this done right now with the SAVE Act. Question is, what makes you think they're going to get any of this done? I think the insanity and the way this ruling came down actually helps President Trump. I think when you start to put all of this together and you watch from the base, the momentum, the buildup, the steam coming out of our ears at some point, I think you're going to get to a point where we push and push and push. And I think it may actually help. It could become, this is possible. It may actually help push this thing across the finish line. So that being said, another important piece of this is, again, going to be in God's hands, but important to cover that and to essentially get into the story again, that you're just not going to get this, unfortunately, on the nightly news in a Lester Holt, Anderson Cooper. They're just not going to give you this. They're not going to lay it out for you the way that it ought to be laid out. Speaking of Supreme Court news, did you see this yesterday? NPR, and who knows what the truth is on this, but they had a story set to go out, and I guess it actually did, that Justice Alito is retiring, and then they had to retract it. Delete. They had it out there. Editor's note: NPR retracts Justice Samuel Alito's story. I guess they had some bad intel, but they were out there saying that he was going to retire. And again, maybe he was. I don't know. Maybe he still will. But at the end of this, boy, they kind of walk around with egg on their face now in this situation. And man, oh man, isn't that interesting? Okay, I got some good clips today. Maha Missy joins us with a big Maha update, and there's some great news happening there. We'll have the latest on some massive health movement that you're going to want to be up to date on. RFK is at it again. We'll have the latest in some of those stories and more coming up with Maha Missy as she'll join the program coming up in here just a little bit. In the meantime, talking about what is happening, particularly in the immigration and why these stories matter, why they matter, why they're such a big deal. Did you catch testimony yesterday? Angel mom Jessica Gorman. Now, what is an angel mom? Angel mom is a mother who has, or an angel parent, lost a child at the hands of an illegal immigrant, someone here who never should have been here. She's on Capitol Hill testifying, Jessica Gorman. And it just rips your heart out, everything she's been through. And everything all of these folks have been through. Angel mom Jessica Gorman giving some of these politicians on Capitol Hill the you know what, and it's just heartbreaking.
Lover, not a fighter. I'm a lover. I love children. I love pumping people up and making them feel good about themselves. I'm not racist. I'm not xenophobic. We've done everything right, my husband and I. We taught our daughter to be wonderful, beautiful person. Her love was extravagant. And now I'm going to have to spend my last waking moment, I'm going to have to spend fighting against these policies, fighting for people to say her name. So if you have the courage, please come talk to me. Come sit on that bench. I'll buy Congress a bench. Talk to each other. Talk to each other. We shouldn't be screaming across the room. I mean, we also shouldn't say but, because I have to just say, and I understand that you're here for a reason, I don't understand why it's only the Republican side that cares about our American children. And I know that you're a mother. I know that you're a father. I deeply value that. But basically what you just did, what you said was, I'm so sorry for your loss. I have a daughter too. I have a son. I feel your pain. You don't. You don't feel my pain. Because the next words out of your mouth were, but. There's no but. When your child is in a coffin, there's no but. And I need you to understand that. And if you ever want to talk about it, I'm here. I'm going to buy you a bench. You can put that on the record. I'm going to buy Congress a bench. And they can come and sit and hold my hand and look me in the eye and explain to me why illegal immigrants are more important than my daughter. I really want to know because I don't understand. Please, I welcome you. I will listen. I will listen. I care. I care. I just need you to explain it to me because I don't, and I fear I will never understand.
Can't imagine what she's gone through or any of the other parents. Of course, you remember her daughter, Sheridan Gorman, was killed. That was the one not far from here. That was Chicago, right? And again, all of these stories, it's absolutely heartbreaking. There's just more and more and more from the testimony. In fact, how about Representative Pramila Jayapal, who apparently is and was fine with telling the parents there that the Angel parents who are testifying, your loss doesn't matter, your story doesn't matter. I don't need to be here. You're wasting my time. You imagine the nerve on us.
Unfortunately, this hearing is it's the fourth time in this committee that we've had a hearing on sanctuary cities. The fourth time. And there's many other things that we could be doing other than this. Unfortunately, this hearing.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, it's your fault. It's your fault that we're here. It's your fault that we've got to deal with this. It's your fault. You're the ones who are, unfortunately, the sole issue who caused the Democrats, the Biden administration, Obama responsible. This is what these people always wanted. They always wanted this. It is absolutely just a slap in the face to them, these angel mothers. And this is why these stories matter. This is just scratching the surface. I want to talk about this coming up here in a little bit, but why do we seem to be so far apart on so many things? You've got Democrats and the Democrat Party. The cheese has slid almost entirely off the cracker at this point. It's probably the best way to describe it, but they have completely gone off the deep end. I mean, just completely gone off the deep end in all of this. And how do you explain this to people? I mean, there really is no way to wrap your head around some of this stuff. There really is no way to explain this other than if you really start to look where it comes from, their hatred of America, what they really think of all of us and this country. And how have we gotten so? 62% of Democrats now say they prefer socialism. And that essentially is that socialism doesn't stay that way. It is communism. They prefer that over capitalism. That's the latest staggering statistic. We'll get to that coming up in just a moment as well. Another one of the updates from our good friends at the Midwesterner, as one of the perks here is we have fewer interruptions as we do this show live from the bunker. And I wouldn't even consider the Midwestern an interruption. But another news update.
Here are your headlines from the Midwesterner this Wednesday, July 1st. I'm Robin Poffman. It's a Midwesterner.news original story. Grand Rapids police don't seem to want to talk about the multiple street takeovers in the city over the weekend. Law enforcement officers appear concerned that any attention may be seen as a challenge to make these incidents bigger and evade police. The Grand Rapids Police Department nonetheless confirming at least 3 incidents downtown on Saturday night into Sunday morning involving cars blocking traffic and performing donuts, drifting, and other stunts, including one that drivers were able to shut down I-196. Numerous videos posted to social media document the weekend of chaos. To politics now, Abdul El Sayed defending his violent rhetoric targeting Republicans. He says, "I'm not going to start the fight, but I'll end it." Abdul El Sayed, a guest on the podcast The Takeout with Major Garrett. For these stories and more, visit the Midwesterner at themidwesterner.news.
There it is, coming up this weekend, the New Chapel Living in Freedom event. More on that throughout the week. We'll have some upcoming details, but that is one of the coolest things. I love being a part of it every single year. These guys do such great work. And here's the story on this. I don't know if you know, but I kind of told a little bit about this yesterday, but this whole Living in Freedom event started back in 2020 when the pastor Joe Bevilacqua there at the church was getting up on the roof and preaching as the Wolverine Queen Nebuchadnezzar is trying to close everything up until you can't go to church and you can't do this and you can't do that. And yeah, you got to follow the arrows in the grocery stores. They said, we're not going to close down. In fact, this crazy young guy got up on the rooftop of the church and they did drive-in church. And that year they did a drive-in to freedom event is what they called it. And they wanted to celebrate, give folks, because you remember they were canceling 4th of July that year. I mean, all the things that they canceled. Again, they got canceled 4th of July. Remember that? And my favorite out of all of that were the videos coming out of Los Angeles, out of California specifically, where they try to cancel everything. But the videos coming out of California where they saw, this year, 4th of July and 4th of July gatherings are canceled. And then they show like the skyline of the city and there's fireworks going off everywhere. Oh my gosh, that was the greatest. Not quite, but almost in line with throwing a bunch of tea into the harbor. I just loved it. I absolutely loved it. So that was the scene that year. They say you can't come out, you can't celebrate, don't get together with people outside your family gatherings and this, that, and the other. I mean, they had funerals that were canceled or funerals that were done outside or all these stupid things that, again, I don't think we were ever mad enough about. I mean, there was a time, but some of that's just faded. And I don't think it should have. But there was a time. And so at that moment, to have people pull up in the parking lot and celebrate with a big carnival, etc. That was something new. I actually spoke there. We were on a flatbed of this truck as a stage outside and people in their cars honking their horns and stuff. It was really cool. Through the years, it's evolved to become this big family event. I tell you that because you're invited to this event. It is a free event when people can come out and they can celebrate with family. They can go on the carnival rides. free food, there's games, and there's prizes. They're even giving away a shotgun. A couple of years they gave away an AR-15. So it's an American patriotic event for people that believe we are one nation under God. It's really for everybody. So you can come together and understand. And we often, we need the reminding that this country is great and why it is. Especially in a day and age where, again, I told you this earlier, this is a staggering statistic, but 63%, I think. No, 62% of Democrats say they prefer socialism over capitalism. These Democrats have a problem. The old blood, like Fetterman's the only one left with common sense. Joe Manchin got out a while ago, right? These Democrats have a real issue. They're losing their party. That's why Trump, by the way, has picked up so many people. It's a Democrat party left. Lots of Democrats. They didn't leave it. And what's left is more radical and extreme than ever before.
Let me just tell you that 47% of the people identify themselves as independents. They have to take, and all of you on your shows talk about independence, because independence is where you win or lose elections.
But 62% of Democrats say they prefer socialism over capitalism.
If they do, then by God, there's not a Democratic Party left. That's crazy. That is crazy.
It's true.
That is absolutely insane.
It's not a Fox poll.
If you want to ask me, well, that's another reason why I'm not registered as a Democrat. I can't put up with that crazy shit. That's nuts. And I've told him that. I said, when you believe that the government should take care of you and you don't want to get up at your, I was asked by Elizabeth Warren, what's happened to the West Virginia Democrats? Why we lose all the union? I said, you've lost the union workers. You lost the working people of America because they believe the Democratic Party in Washington spends more time, effort, and resources on able-bodied, capable people that don't work or won't work than those that still are working, trying to make a living. That's it in a nutshell. I can't give it to you any plainer than that.
I'll tell you, I'd feel a lot better.
Manchin, do you think he's going to run for something, or do you think he's done altogether? It's interesting because those common sense voices, that's what they need to get back in power. But there's a struggle because the young, and this is the young sort of shiny new object. For a lot of these people have no idea because they haven't been taught about it, but the evils of communism, socialism, and all the rest of it. They have no idea. They have no experience with this. They don't know how much death it's caused. They just have no clue. But it is the shiny new object. And we now know, again, last night, another great example. Another communist, another commie wins. Now, they call it, she's socialist in Colorado. But you got Commie Mamdani down in out in New York City, and then you got the entire slate of communists that picked up wins the other day. Now, they're not all winning, but I got to tell you, they are picking up massive seats here and there. And this big win that happened last night is being celebrated yet again. I think it's a massive warning. It ought to be a massive warning to each of us. What's coming? These people get their way. We got the same problem here in Michigan with Abdul. And some of really, all three of them are kind of cheese lit off the cracker kind of folks.
I think it's the most Democrat district in Colorado. It's almost the district's almost entirely the city of Denver, a little bit outside the city, but not much. And so last week when these socialists won in New York, you heard the media say, well, this is just, urban New York. It's not really what we're all about. But now we're going to Denver in their most Democrat district, and we're taking a poll of Democrats, old Democrats, young Democrats, and saying, who do you want? And who do they want? They want a person identifying with the social Democrat Socialists of America, the Justice Democrats, whatever they are, which would be great to find out who's funding all of this. I think it's the most Democrat district in Colorado. It's almost.
Now we know some of it. Neville Roy Singham and the DOJ again. Investigation that is set to take place. By the way, this you because it's so funny. You think these protests happen in a vacuum? You think these protests, they're like, that's just a coincidence. All these people show up, Black Lives Matter, Antifa, and all of the rest of you think they just show up with these signs? They've all got the same, messages and logos and everything else. They all get the same matching T-shirts and everything. You think those things are like a coincidence? Here's Anna Paulina Luna talking about this guy, and the DOJ now finally going after him. The Department of Justice launching a federal grand jury probe into Neville Roy Singham, the Shanghai-based tech mogul, over the funding. By the way, his wife, founder of Code Pink.
Neville Singham is an open, self-declared Maoist. He absolutely does not like what this country stands for. What they're attempting to do is, if they can sow enough discord here and back elected officials, especially that support these ideologies that would essentially put the United States as number 2 in the global order, it is my opinion and belief that he is working on behalf of the Chinese government to essentially break America. I'd say that he's probably number 1 big fish that we have in regards to who's responsible for a lot of the divide in this country, and it's going back all the way to the CCP. Singham he actually lives in China a majority of the year, did not respond to Congress's request to have him to come in, so we did ask Bassett to freeze assets. The Department of Justice has a very easy layup here. They could actually bring charges against him.
That's former Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna on this program with me back in September, sounding the alarm on the alleged financial crimes of technology tycoon Neville Roy Singham and his role in funding Marxist, socialist, and communist groups here in America.
Lock him up. Lock him up. These words don't mean anything anymore. Socialist comedy, they don't they don't mean anything because these kids never learned it. They never understood what any of that meant. And these people, these billionaires, what they were doing? They were using also your money, my money, USAID money to fund a lot of this stuff. That's why some of it's sort of dried up lately. Here's Steve Gruber on Real America's
These protests, the No Kings rallies, the anti-ICE protests, these are bought and paid for with the backing of more than 500 groups with an estimated collective revenue of $3 billion annually. Let that sink in. And today we're going to take a deep dive into who's responsible for much of it. Meet Neville Roy Singham. He's an American-born tech executive, but he's decided to shack up with the Chinese Communist Party. He lives, of course, in Shanghai. He loves Marxism and Mao Zedong, the founder of the Chinese Communist Party, who was responsible for one of the worst famines in human history, the Great Leap Forward, that led to the deaths of over 50 million people in that country. Mao, according to some estimates, was responsible for 100 million Chinese deaths, the worst mass murderer in world history. Some hero. And that's who Singham looks up to. And he's put hundreds of millions of dollars into continuing Mao's ruthless, deadly communist vision. Singham has built a network of some 2,000 organizations, and at least 200 of them are solely dedicated to producing anti-American propaganda and efforts. Since 2017, almost $600 million that we know of has been funneled into these organizations from Singham's pockets, with $400 million of that going directly to a central hub of 11 American nonprofits. That's right, we've got organizations right here in the United States claiming tax-exempt status while accepting millions of dollars in foreign influence money to destroy your country. 3 of the biggest are the People's Forum, the Justice and Education Fund, and the People's Support Foundation. Here's one of Singham's closest allies speaking at the People's Forum in New York City, praising the Cuban Revolution. Yes, praising the Cuban Revolution for all the good it's done, apparently. Listen to this.
This is the People's Forum, and I really hope you support this institution because I don't know if you can imagine a city like New York without it. So where would we hold this event? Who would allow us to have a discussion about the Cuban Revolution without attacking it? Yeah, I mean, you can't talk about the Cuban Revolution, but you have to denounce it. In the People's Forum, you can celebrate it as it should be celebrated. And we celebrate it. We celebrate it not because it, asks us to celebrate it, but we celebrate it because it broke a certain barrier.
Well, it broke people, too, had them killed. That's Vijay Prashad. He serves as the executive director of the Tricontinental Institute for Social Research. It's another Marxist think tank that Singham has heavily funded. And he's all over the world, including in New York City, apparently, spreading his view of the West and communism. It's downright insidious.
Commies. Straight up. Can you imagine that 2026, this would be what we'd be facing? Commies. It is a problem, and it is one that I think if we are to believe what we're being told, President Trump is very, he's been waiting for the fight, he said. He's very aware of what we're watching play out. And I believe he has a plan. Part of what we're starting to see, the DOJ and targeting these individuals, Soros is next, folks. When you see these people, and they will, and the Justice Department starts to get into this, these folks, and Soros is, it's not just him, but it's his son, and there's a whole network of folks. And they're all tight with like the Gretchen Whitmers and the Jocelyn Bensons and all those types. But the Department of Justice launching this first investigation, the federal grand jury probe into this guy again. I don't know what's going to happen because the grand jury's in Manhattan. It's not a great place. I'm glad to see it in Florida. But they're looking at possible money laundering, wire fraud, bank fraud tied to roughly $285 million routed through Goldman Sachs, a philanthropy fund, shell companies and nonprofits that, again, support his Marxist, socialist, activist causes. Again, these are people that hate America, and they want to destroy it, and they're using every tool that they have that we've given them available. They're trying to take us down from within. The investigation, authorized by Acting AG Todd Blanche, led by Southern District New York's U.S. Attorney Jay Clayton, began months ago. No charges have been filed yet. The New York Post with the reporting. Some of these stories, you've probably heard them through the years. Commies and conspiracies, and we're all sort of told that we're the crazy ones for questioning any of these things or having these conversations. It's interesting. Yesterday on Capitol Hill, there's another. Anna Polina was right in the middle of this one too, but there was another moment. I don't know how much you've heard of or been privy to this MK Ultra. It was a real program, CIA led back in the day. What was MK Ultra? Mind control. Plain and simple. An expert witness yesterday testified that Jack Ruby and Charles Manson were CIA assets of the MK Ultra mind control program. Hang on. Let me get my tinfoil hat out here. Well, I'll dig it up. I know Gritter's probably got his on already. He sleeps with that thing on. And dig into the testimony.
Is it in your expert opinion that Jack Ruby and Manson were assets of the intelligence agencies specifically pertaining to MK Ultra? Were they MK Ultra victims?
Yeah, theoretically, Manson, I've never been able to prove absolutely. Jack Ruby, I believe, this is something else. The Warren Commission investigation on the Warren Commission was Alan Dulles, the former CIA director, who authorized and ran MK Ultra until he was fired by President Kennedy. The liaison to the committee for the CIA, who handled the information coming from the CIA back and forth to the Warren Commission, was Richard Helms, who was a direct supervisor of Jolly West. They knew who West was. They knew that what West was capable of and what they had paid him to do and what he had reported to them that he could do, including inducing mental disorders in people. That was never disclosed to the commission as far as anyone knows. So I believe that Wes was put in there to keep Jack Ruby from telling his story.
Wow. In closing, I just want to thank you all for being here today, and we will be following up, Dr. Kinzer, on your request to fully redact. I'll be following personally with the director of the CIA, the MKUltra files that we do have. Also, as I noted earlier, there will be more that will be declassified, specifically pertaining to newly found records that were located in what we were discussing earlier. I did also want to just state that, for the record, in regards to what statements were made earlier regarding the German government, we will also be following up on that. If there are indeed people that were victims of this that have been buried, we would like to know who those people are and who their families are as well, in order to correct the historical wrongdoings of this government. Without further ado, I would like to state that all members have 5 legislative days within to submit materials.
All right, that's just the bad. I had to get this on for a second. I had to get that up and going for you so you could see. There's more on this report, by the way. In fact, there was more inside the hearing. MKUltra. Now, this was fascinating. What about the fact that some of these people lately, maybe the Butler attempt and maybe the Charlie Kirk assassination, were the result of MKUltra? Is that a possibility?
What are the possibilities that what we've learned in MKUltra, now that it has advanced so much to algorithms and the computer and getting to loners, that some of these loners could, through this just mass propagation of whatever you're doing, could cause someone to maybe take a shot at a president?
I know there's a lot of speculation out there about the Butler shooting, and I guess even the Charlie Kirk shooting. I just hate to speculate because I don't know. I have no firsthand knowledge whether those guys were programmed through radio waves or through their computer activity. So I would never hazard a guess, except to say what I've already said, that they developed means that we've never been told about many, many years ago, and I imagine they've evolved to be much more effective now. So
let me interrupt you one more time, and I apologize again. But don't you think that they could cast this broad net through these algorithms and other things, and maybe they don't know the exact person it's going to affect, but they know what type of person it's going to affect, and they know it's going to happen, and that way they can't predict when it's going to happen, but they think it will happen, and then that way they can sort of wash their hands of this whole thing and say, well, we didn't have anything to do with it, but in effect they really did, because they put this out there and they continue to put it out there. To what other method you're talking about. Go ahead, guys. I'm sorry. Ma'am, if you want to jump in.
She's with NIH.
Okay. Doctor, go ahead.
It sounds to me like you're describing something like the Martin Luther King assassination. The FBI didn't carry it out, but it created such a climate denouncing King as the most dangerous man in America and putting out all this material about how he was helping communists that they must have thought, it's going to filter down. Somebody will take action, and then we can say we didn't have anything to do with it.
And James Earl Ray was a third-rate thief. He made an incredible shot, 1 foot on a commode, 1 foot in a bathtub, leaning out of a window, basically. And the next day, or that afternoon, all the shrubbery was cut in front of the flop house he was staying in. There's a lot on that one that will never be discussed. I have some friends that were there, so I guess I'm on pretty close to firsthand knowledge, but yeah, I'm sorry. I'm probably going to get audited when I walk out of the room. I know it. So, thank you, Chair Lady. I yield back my 4 seconds.
I'm probably gonna get audited when I walk out of the room. Look, I don't know. Again, this is just testimony. These people are expert witnesses. Somebody even in the chat said, I don't know if some of this stuff is right. One of these guys is like trying to sing a book or whatever. Again, it's not like somebody came on a radio show and promoted a book. But I will say this. They were invited by Congress. Again, you can't take everything they say as gospel on this stuff. But it is important to examine, and you look and you wonder the things that are happening right now. The increase in violence, and I mean, it doesn't take some sort of massive program to make this happen as far as MK Ultra is concerned. I think what Burchett was trying to get at is what's happening through social media right now. We know that the very accounts, the things that we use, in fact, we're talking through right now, like these various platforms, they are able to control us in ways. In fact, there was a study done with men of Facebook back in the day. It was Facebook. But there was a study done where they were able to change the way people feel and make them feel horrible. And it was done with Harvard. They knew what they were doing. They well understood what they were doing. They well understood how bad all of that could be. And I don't necessarily know that they've turned any of it off just yet. I don't know that they've turned any of it off at all yet. Democrats are coming for your air conditioner. I don't know if you've been watching what's happening in Europe right now. In fact, Europe is now blaming America because of all the heat wave and the bad things that are happening, people dying, etc., because they don't have air conditioning there. But they're saying it's all our fault. Laura Ingraham last night on covering this story.
They want you to be miserable. They don't want you to be comfortable. They don't like the suburbs. They're too comfortable. So throw in a bunch of, ugly affordable housing. You're living in like 72-degree temp. But Obama said that. Remember at one point when he was president, he said, you don't have any right to, 72 degrees in the summer and 68 in the winter. Like, we've gotten too basically fat and happy in the United States. So if Democrats get their way, the new crowd of Democrats, we'll talk about another one in a few moments, they get their way, they're coming for your air conditioner, are they not, Niall?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that what we're seeing in Europe with these, crazy socialist politicians running riot, this is America's future, of course, if the Democrats take back power in the United States. And this extremist far-left, climate change agenda that we're seeing in Europe actually costs European lives. People are dying as a result of this drive for net zero.
They want you to be miserable.
She's right. Not only do they want you to be miserable, but I add on to what she just said. They don't care if people die. They don't care if people die. Now I think I saw it was in France, the mayor of Paris or whoever, who knows anymore, but they're blaming Americans for how hot it is in France. And it's probably because we drive SUVs. And it's the deputy mayor of France. Just listen to how insane all of this is. Deputy mayor of France says it's your fault for how hot it is there.
Right, a deadly heat wave also blanketing much of Europe, and it's turning into a heated debate over air conditioning. The deputy mayor of Paris even going so far as to blame AC units in the United States for making the problem worse. How's that possible? EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin is here now. Hello.
Great to be with you.
Welcome to the lovely set.
Yes.
On the lovely
great to be here
National
with you.
Mall. So tell us about this. What do we need to know? What's the deal with the AC?
There's always going to be someone somewhere around the world. They're trying to shame us into turning off our air conditioning. And
I'll confess, we've got a little setup right here, and I don't know if we'd make it through the show without it.
yeah, no doubt. And as we see here, there are a lot of people who are going into the state booths where the AC is on. That's pretty smart. Maybe that's where the longest lines are. Maybe they keep it.
New York has got the longest line I see out there.
That's one theory as to why they have so many people there. Listen, the climate's always been changing. And, for people who want to start digging into the argument that it's changing because of human activity, the idea that some grandma right now in Georgia should be, filled with guilt and shame, and she should turn off the AC is ridiculous.
Yes.
The amount of activity around the world, when you look at coal, they use 40% more coal in China than the rest of the world combined. And we're supposed to be here shutting down our coal plants. We're supposed to be getting rid of AC. We should go to an electric vehicle mandate and get rid of your gas-powered cars, your diesel cars. The way that they want to change human activity, as if that individual's activity is causing it to be hot outside. I would encourage people to just be honest with the debate. There's optimistic views to pessimistic views. Exactly where's sea level going to be in 2100? What is the temperature of the Earth going to be in 2100? Some people have optimistic views, some have pessimistic views, and the people with the pessimistic views sometimes go further. AOC saying,
isn't that interesting? I just know there's something about that strategy or that tactic of shame and guilt, etc. And it seems to me more than ever before, if you really examine this, it has its roots in the demonic. Think about that. The enemy, the accuser of the brethren, right? I just think as we look at everything, and I think it's fair, it is important to look at the things that we deal with on a daily basis. We wrestle not against flesh and blood. A lot of this is a spiritual fight. And I think we're watching some of that play out. It's never been more obvious to me anyway. That's why it's important to get the truth, logic, and common sense out to folks. Make sure you sign up for the Good Newsletter and get the stack, justinbarclay.com, justinbarclay.com, to make sure that we stay in touch. Because I don't know, you're off the radio one day and then a social media platform decides to cancel you because you got too hot for what they want out there. It could happen, but the way we fight against it is we build the light boats like we've done in the past. We'll continue to do that. So make sure you stay up to date and sign up now at justinbarclay.com. The America 250 gear inside the store helps support this program each and every day, but we want to give some to you as well. So if you haven't already shared the program yet, so that we get truth, logic, and common sense out there to more people, do it now. Facebook, Twitter X, Rumble, Getter, Locals, YouTube. We appreciate your support and where you're watching from. It helps us move the needle. Speaking of which, we'll talk about that and more. Maha Missy coming up next with a big Maha update, some fantastic news, and some warnings for you as well after this. Maha Missy at it again, and the stories continue to just every week, I think, get bigger and bigger. And some of these stories are, they're kind of scary. They're warnings to us all, but I also think there's some really good news that ought to be shared as well. Maha Missy, welcome and thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me, Justin. I'm going to order that t-shirt. I haven't seen that t-shirt that Jesus saves. I love that.
I got one for you.
I'm in.
I'm going to send it. I'll put it in the mail to you so you can see it. And we've got so many good ones out there right now. Hang on. Let me show it on the screen for folks.
Just in case, that is an awesome shirt. I love that. That is really good.
I got it. I'll send it to you. It's, yours is on the way, and I'll have one for our good friend Charity too. So you guys can both.
What? Maybe I'll buy some, and then when your client, or not your clients, when your listeners end up doing our program, I'm going to send them a t-shirt.
Oh, that's a good idea.
That they fit into when they're done. That they like to fit into. How about that?
That's like a goal. That's a goal. That's a great goal weight kind of conversation. I love that. Yeah. Well, we'll talk about that coming up here in just a little bit and some latest developments. But I also want to make sure that we get to some of these big stories that are pressing today. And probably the biggest out of the last week. There's a couple of good news pieces from food I want to get to and the things that are happening behind the scenes. But maybe one of the biggest right now has to be the fraud that's been discovered in the Obamacare fraud. RFK has pointed this out. And in fact, they are behind the scenes making a big dent in this right now. Why is that important? Because, again, your money, taxpayer dollars going to fund things that may not necessarily be so great. And also, fuel the fraud. I mean, waste, fraud, abuse drives costs for everyone else up as well.
Hi, I'm Robert F. Kennedy Jr., your HHS Secretary. I'm joined today by my good friend and anti-fraud warrior, CMS Administrator, Dr. Mehmet Oz. Healthcare fraud and corruption affect millions of Americans, and maybe even you. The Obamacare marketplace is plagued by fraud, in large part because the Biden administration dismantled basic program integrity guardrails, while partisan lawfare blocked common sense efforts to protect taxpayers. Today, Dr. Oz and I are exposing one of the latest examples of fraud that we've uncovered. More than 1 million people enrolled in Obamacare without Social Security numbers on file. That is a glaring warning sign of fraud. If even a single person was on Obamacare with no Social Security number, we should have found out. Why are we paying people who we don't know if they actually exist?
Shady insurance agents and other bad actors have been getting paid to enroll unsuspecting Americans in health plans they never signed up for. These rogue agents have been flooding into healthcare.gov. That's the Obamacare marketplace. They submit applications for fake people, enroll stolen identities, all to collect millions of dollars in improper fees from insurance companies for selling plans they never legitimately sold. Some of these agents refuse to follow basic rules, like providing their client's Social Security number. That, my friends, is a huge red flag.
These fraudsters deliberately pick plans with no premiums. No premiums means no bill. No bill means most people never know that they've been enrolled in a plan that you and I are paying for with our taxpayer dollars. The only people who benefit are the fraudsters.
This is incredible, Missy. I know you spent a lot of time dealing with insurance, dealing with like the healthcare, business of things in years in the chiropractic practice you all had a while back as well.
Yeah.
You've seen it up close and personal, I know.
All the time. In the chiropractic realm, what was really sad is that they told you when you can and can't take x-rays of a patient. And it's like, in order to know how to give an adjustment, we felt it necessary to take x-rays because it's the blueprint of the body. And again, we were always under scrutiny for doing the simplest thing was, let's take an x-ray and see where the bones are actually at. But the insurance companies would say no, and we don't like that. We don't think that's necessary. And then, I mean, in the chiropractic realm is horrible, but now doing what I do on this end, I talk to clients from all over the United States, and the nightmares that they're going through because they can't get approved for a medication because it's too expensive. Well, I wonder why it's too expensive. I mean, we don't have the money. I mean, you said something in your last segment is like, it's obvious they're trying to kill us slowly by removing air conditioners and things like that. What hasn't this government touched? What haven't they touched? What does the government even consider sacred? I mean, they have infiltrated and taken over the food industry. That's where I've been living at for several years now, is the food industry and what they were doing. They've taken over the pharmaceutical industry because you just see what it is. It's just this, it's a domino, and the thing, and every domino that's being tipped, it all falls and it impacts us individually. So, and it's just one of those things, getting off the system is not being dependent on the healthcare that they're providing right now. And this healthcare is a joke. It's called sick care. No one's getting healthy. I mean, RFK Jr. was just talking, we talked about this a few weeks ago, about incentivizing doctors to deprescribe medication. I mean, it's like, can you imagine if like your great grandma like went into a coma 40 years ago and woke up to this world that we're in right now? I mean, it's horrible. It's diabolical. And you're right. It's spiritual warfare. Game on. And so we have to take care of this. The only thing that we can control is what we do, what we choose to do with the information we're given.
Yeah. Maha, Missy, the latest Maha update. By the way, she was just talking about that, getting off of medications and things like that. And I know for folks that don't know, Maha, Missy, by the way, Missy, we got Sharon in the chat who says her and her husband are scheduled for a chat with you next Monday.
I can't wait. I love talking to all your listeners. They're so awesome.
I know you just had a husband and wife team.
I did. Yes. Yeah. They're going to start. Oh, I can't wait. We're going to start posting some before and afters of your listeners from all over. I mean, you got two sweet little ladies out there in Oregon that are just crushing the program. And I mean, yeah, we're turning their metabolism on. So of course they're going to get healthy.
I love to hear that. This is what happens when people they start to see the alternatives to that mess that's been created. It's not your fault the scale won't move. I know you have the America 250 sale that's underway right now with 25% off, but this thing doesn't last long. It's wrapping up pretty soon, isn't it?
Yeah, we're going to extend it out because I know that people get busy, the holiday and everything, but we're going to keep it extended out towards the middle of July. And again, it doesn't, most people think that like, oh, but I'm busy. All we need to do is have a conversation with me. Let's have a conversation, get to know each other a little bit. Let me explain how this works. And then you choose if it sounds right to you. No pressure, no obligation, nothing. Just get an understanding. That's what the Bible says. And wisdom is getting understanding. So you got to understand, how the heck does this work? Because I can't really go into it in depth. Like, it's there's a lot to it. People don't grasp. We were never taught how this body, how this anatomy truly functions. It's phenomenal, and it's a paradigm shift. I love feeling when the light bulbs go off when I'm talking to people on the other end of the phone.
Hey, Nancy, great question, by the way. Missy Nancy wants to know, can Canadian ladies join you in the program as well?
Yes, matter of fact, we got a Canadian lady over there that lost. Now, this was a big one. Now, this is not normal. We have a Canadian lady that just recently finished her 40-day program with us, turning the metabolism on, and she lost 30 pounds of actual stored fat.
Wow.
Fat. We're not looking at a scale. We're used to looking at a scale, but we're going to teach you how to look at the other numbers on the scale, like fat, inches. That's how the inches come off so fast.
That is so cool. I love to see that. And obviously, those numbers are great. But the other thing that I think is even more important is what is happening on the inside of our bodies. And I think, as you mentioned, people coming off of medications, they're coming off of sleep apnea, mass, and all that.
If you've been I don't care how long you've been a type 2 diabetic, you more than likely won't be considered a type 2 diabetic anymore, because what people don't grasp, your metabolism is directly linked to all of the massive organs in the body. So when people are insulin sensitive, there is a malfunction going on the inside of the body that cute little metformin pill isn't fixing. It's giving you some numbers that look better, but it's not fixing anything. And if you continue staying a type 2 diabetic with higher blood sugar numbers, you're gonna, consequences are lose your eyesight, gradually. And I just saw that with a 73-year-old lady, and you're gonna start developing neuropathy. Those are all natural consequences. And again, when neuropathy hits your feet, you're gonna need somebody to help walk you. You're gonna need help.
This story is one of the most heartbreaking. I don't know if you've seen this, but a 7-year-old in Michigan, dead of heart disease, weighing 255 pounds. The parents now facing murder charges. The neglect that this kid went through. And I know this is a very extreme case.
Sure.
But one has to maybe wonder, how much our food played into this. I mean, they neglected this child, but the food that this child was probably fed is anything but, really.
Sure. And again, and where do they buy the food? At the normal grocery store that we all buy our food at. They are trying to kill us slowly. I mean, the toxins, we've talked about this before. There are over 10,000 toxins that America has given their thumbs up to. Those 10,000 chemicals are destroying the inside of the body in a very silent way. In a way, because it's not coming up. So I'm like, oh, the kidney's dying now. I'm like, oh, now the gallbladder's dying. And these toxins are going in, and they're disrupting your gut. They're disrupting your hormone endocrine system. They're causing you to want to crave food. They're so smart. They know how to create chemicals that go up to that little brain of yours and say, go eat that cookie. It's there. It's a real thing. And so, so you just see how much chaos is going on inside the body because we just think when we eat the food and we go to the bathroom that it must be gone. It's not. It stays inside your body, especially if you're overweight. Your fat cells grab hold the toxins and hold on to it, protecting you. And then you just get bigger and bigger and bigger, and you try to modify this and modify that, and it doesn't work. And I tell people all the time, it's not your fault you can't lose weight, because no one's ever showed us how to turn the metabolism on. This poor little child over here, his parents were obviously extremely neglectful, but at the same time, they fed him the same food that people can buy at the grocery store.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, in this little child, something was definitely out of balance that caused him to continue to gain. And I can't even fathom. I mean, that visceral fat, the visceral fat that everyone is supposed to have on the body is designed to protect the organs. But as you continue to get bigger, the visceral fat gets bigger, thicker, heavier. And before you know it, that heart of yours can't pump because it's got a couch sitting on top of it that's called visceral fat.
I can't imagine. And this whole food story, I know it's nothing that you've been a stranger to. RFK Jr. has been big on trying to tackle this. In fact, I do have some good news out of this. First, I want to show you this. I'm not going to say this is necessarily health food, but boy, this is good news. It's a step in the right direction.
What I don't get, bro, is I look at things like this, and every time I look at it, I'm like, how we couldn't have been had only the one with 5 ingredients? Why we got to have the one that has like 50 million ingredients? Why we couldn't been having this one, bro?
That is a really great question from this guy. He's just in the store and he goes, and by the way, this is good news. Hershey's put out some product here. It's called the Simply 5. So it has just 5 simple ingredients. Now, I haven't dug through this to see whether or not it's smoke and mirrors or not, but maybe Missy.
I checked it out, and it has 5 healthy ingredients. I do. Yeah. I mean, and I'm telling you, like, for those of us that like to have a bowl of ice cream at nighttime, well, I typically, if I'm going to have some, I use almond milk-based ice cream or coconut milk-based ice cream, because the dairy industry has done a lot of things inside the dairy before they've altered the milk before they made the ice cream. So I tend to go over on the other side. Now with the Hershey's, heck yeah, I might go out and buy some of that. I have chocolate syrup. I do have chocolate syrup made with stevia sugar.
Yeah.
And good Lord Almighty, I almost think I could put it up next to my grandma's hot fudge. It is so good. Wow. But I mean, why can't we have food that tastes good and is healthy?
That's what he said. He goes, why? So why all of a sudden, why were they making? So let me ask you, it's a great question. Why have all these foods? Because people are wondering through the years, what they've eaten hasn't changed, but what they've eaten is being changed or has been changed. Those products were changed. Well, so what was it? Why was it done?
Well, think about the hospitals need to fill those rooms. I mean, it's an industry. It is such an industry because, like, I go to Australia. The first time I went to Australia, my son moved there. I went grocery shopping with him. I went down the grocery stores over there are really small. It's like the size of grocery stores that you and I grew up with, like back when we were like in like little, like, there might have been 20 boxes of cereal to choose from. Now we got 120. Yeah. I mean, there used to be like, Coke and Pepsi. Oh my gosh. Now, I mean, we're just a glutton kind of a country. But the thing is like when you go to buy the cereal over there in Australia, Kellogg's has listened to their demands. Australia said, right. No, none of these chemicals in our food. And Kellogg's like, okay, we want to sell some over there, so we're going to modify the ingredients so you guys can approve it. Yeah, but guess what? All of us over there are like, oh no, but it tastes so good. We don't want to lose the redness and the my God.
Well, wait a minute, because to that point, listen to this. On the end of this post about this Hershey's Simply 5, the end of the post is many people are saying the new Simply 5 tastes much better. They're saying it's more natural, richer chocolate flavor, and less artificial aftertaste.
Shocker.
Wow. So
I know. I'm like, we can do this, folks. We can so do this. We just got to get smarter. And again, it's so overwhelming. But the next time you go to the grocery store and you need to buy something chocolatey, go get that. You know, you don't have to like purge everything out of your cabinets right now, but just be smarter when you go to buy the food the next time. Looking at the packaging, majority of my clients, because when you're in the cycle of fat burn with us, you're not allowed to have any sugar. And so we tell clients, like, you got to check the labels because you're going to be really surprised at how much sugar's and everything. Yeah. And people, like in the first week, because we're coaching them through every week, we talk to them how the first week go. They're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how much sugar is in everything. I'm like, yeah. I mean, and then we get inflamed. And yeah.
It is something, and I think, as you said, like lots of people are waking up to this. In fact, look at this. We just saw Hershey's on one end, and now we got Nestle on another end. They're going to cut colorings, artificial colorings from all products by the end of 2026 with the latest announcement.
Oh, yeah. So again, these colorings, we talked about this before. Some of these synthetic dyes that the human body was never designed to entertain on the inside. Some of these dyes go and cross the thing called the blood-brain barrier. Your blood-brain barrier, you've got a security guard in the front of that brain of yours, and it's just there to make sure that no toxins get into that brain, because that's what's driving the whole show is your brain. It's a supercomputer. So what happens is toxins come into the body, send smoke and confusion to the security guards guarding that brain of yours, and you get all like confused, and the toxins go right into that brain. And oh wow, what do we have? We have ADHD. We need Adderall. We got, I mean, you name it. It screws up each person's neurochemistry differently. And it's like, so my God, how many little kids in the coming years won't have ADD anymore because of what we're going to change? Again,
Gary over in the chat confirming what you're saying. In fact, Missy, Gary says, I worked at Kellogg. He says they had several different formulas for each product, one for the USA, one for UK, one for Canada.
Yep.
Really fascinating. Why wouldn't you just do one? Well, because there's so many different things that we'll allow versus what they won't in other places.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, the other countries have some
stricter standards.
And people don't actually care until you start seeing, like you in your last segment about the darn air conditioning. I'm like, come on. If they're willing to come and hijack an 85-year-old's air conditioning unit so she can like die. I mean, how many little kids die inside the cars when their parents leave them there accidentally? You know, I'm just like, what is going on? And so it's like, we've got to raise our voices and not become complacent. Most of us, like, let me take a drink from I've been in Facebook jail 1,000 times, you know, it's just like, I'm like, it's like, man, I get tired, but I look around at all the injustice and the people that are dying unnecessarily, people that are medicated, they don't need to be medicated, people that are mood swings, people that are depressed and sad and all this stuff. It's overwhelming, but man, I mean, someone like, you know, like I'm thankful that you have me on here so I can kind of like throw some nuggets of hope out there that it's and don't get tired, don't get weary. I mean, we're on the front line. We're on the front line for such a time as this, and we can turn this country around. And it's a grassroots movement. Look who's doing it.
Yeah.
Look. I mean, yeah.
Lots of people might be familiar with Gary Brecka. He talked about the food system on Dr. Phil a while back, and he's made the point.
If you're reading the back of the label and you wouldn't know where to find that ingredient in the grocery store, it's very likely a highly processed food. So if you don't know where to find the polysorbate 80 or what aisle the carrageenan is in or the red dye number 40, that's a highly processed ingredient. You don't need to be a PhD in chemistry and understand what the terms mean. You just need to know if it's not in the grocery store, it was put in before it arrived, and it wasn't put in by Mother Nature. It was put in as a preservative, a thickening agent, a flavoring agent. And a lot of these are intentionally designed. You know, I chair Bobby Kennedy's MAHA action. MAHA is an apolitical committee that is helping get the word out about the need to be eating a whole food diet, getting physical education back in the public school system, removing black box warnings from female hormone therapy, doing things that will have a dramatic impact on humanity by upending the current system in a way that'll be beneficial for Americans. And when you look at the intentionality with which this was done, like that food pyramid wasn't architected by accident. You know, Lucky Charms wasn't more nutritious than grass-fed steak by accident. Highly processed foods didn't make it to the top of the chart. You know, grains, high glycemic sugars, which you eat very little of, highly processed foods, that was intentional. And we are undoing decades of intentional malfeasance that, in my opinion, not to be a conspiracy theorist, was designed to make the American population sick and more dependent on drugs.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, and I don't think it's just wild conspiracy theory.
There's a lot of good news in what is happening right now.
Yep.
One of the things we want to do is make sure that we keep that top focus so that people know, even though things are bad, we want you to know the truth. We want you to know, hey, also, no matter what the headlines, God's still on the throne. Folks, here's a warning. This is from CNN. And by the way, this will let you know why it should be such a warning. CNN did a story, and I caught the headline. I thought, oh, my gosh, we have to talk about this. Missy, I know you're going to have opinions and thoughts on it. But they do the story. Medicare will start covering weight loss drugs on July 1st. That's today. For the first time, here's what you need to know. So they want to tell people, essentially, this is an advertisement for those drug companies.
Mm-hmm.
They want to tell people, here's how you can go get these, and for cheaper, for nothing. The problem with this is it's such a fast rollout. This is like COVID 2.0. And unfortunately, it's hitting a lot of people in the conservative world because they haven't thought about this. They haven't dug into what's really in these things. What's it going to do to me? There may be some benefits for some of this stuff, but at the end of the day, I just say walk through it. I got this real sense, this warning in my spirit about this.
Mm-hmm.
And Missy, that's why I wanted to give you a chance to talk about it.
Whew. All right. So this is huge. Yesterday, I had a client call in, and I had a consultation with him, and he needs to lose about 30 pounds. I said, "Are you on any medications?" He's like, "Nope, I don't like to get on medications." He's like, "Oh, but the doctor just put me on the Mounjaro shot," and I was like, "Oh, are you type 2?" He's like, "No, he says I'm on my way to becoming a type 2, so he's wanted me to do the shot." And I go, "How long have you been on it?" And he said, 1 month. I go, "Is it you?" And he says, "Yeah, I give it to myself once a week." I said, "Okay, can I talk to you about what is in that shot?" And I'm like, "Listen, this doctor is being incentivized just like all doctors were when it was during COVID time. Listen, the doctors aren't getting payouts as much as they were during COVID, and a lot of other companies. I mean, I've been friends. I live right next door to Pfizer. Pfizer is about 20 miles down the road, and what I've learned about Pfizer is that the people that have their the stocks inside Pfizer, they don't like to see their stocks go down. So they've got to constantly be pumping out new drugs to keep their stocks high. I've watched this so many times because I had good friends that work there. And I look at it, this is the next cash cow. The last cash cow was COVID shots. The middle kind of cash cow is cholesterol medication. That's the new one. That's the new candy. But the other one is the big cash cow is going to be these shots. And what these shots are doing is, there might be some, like you said, some outcomes. I read the article, like this lady no longer has to use her sleep apnea. Well, that's awesome. But you don't need a sleep apnea when you're 6 foot under the ground. Right? You don't need that, because the chemical, the drug that they are putting inside of people's bodies was designed, is diabolical. It's genius and it's diabolical at the same time. And I'm not the only one talking about this. Dr. Brian Ardis is the one who kind of like tipped this, opened up, the can of worms with this one. They studied a lizard in the desert that naturally, and this lizard doesn't eat food but once every 2 weeks. And so God was so cool to this lizard that he's like, I'm going to make your digestive system go chemical, and I'm going to also make your your colon area goes slow. So the whole transit is going to be slow for you, so you feel full. Well, they figured out how to mimic that thing and put it inside humans. We're supposed to digest. Our body has a rhythm and a timing and a rhythm and a timing.
Yes.
And what you don't use, you lose. So the first round of people that started getting the shots, they started having stomach paralysis and they started having a little bit of colon paralysis. Well, what they found is when they did create the drug the first time, or the original time, and they started injecting it in animals, because you always got to do animals first, the animals all started dying of thyroid cancer, because that chemical goes inside the body. And since it's not it's not supposed to be there naturally, it has to find a place to live. That's what happens. Every single thing going in the body gravitates towards its home. Well, in the home of mice, it picked the thyroid. Well, then the mice body, what they did was the immune system attacked the thyroid, attacks it so much that they got thyroid naturally. So now in humans, they're going, well, I wonder where it's going to go in the humans. Places: brain tissue, brain cancer; thyroid tissue, thyroid cancer; breast tissue, breast cancer.
Wow.
And since the heart needs that constant nutrition that you are supposed to be putting into it, but because you're not hungry, you're not going to eat that much. And if you do eat something, it's normally crappy, so the body's not getting the nutrients. Well, that heart is going to have a problem, and your body knows that. So the body searches all over the body to find out, what can I give the heart to keep it pumping? It's going to go find it in your bones. So now you're going to be a skinny person with osteoporosis and probably develop cancer within the next 3 years or so. But hey, you look good in those pants and you're off the sleep apnea machine.
This is the thing that I know, like, I just don't think, sometimes, first of all, I am not a beta tester. I am not, when it comes to my phone, I don't want, the beta. I'll wait till they update it, let everybody else get through the bugs and work through it. I don't want the latest phone. I just give it a little bit of time. And so I certainly am not going to do that with my body. And I just warn, I feel this in my spirit right now. There's just there might be some help. There might be some things to these, but I think the bad outweighs the good. In fact, there was a peptide that I tried a while back, and this has been a couple years now.
Sure.
And I did, it cut my appetite here and there, but there were some other issues that I noticed, and my brain, I think about these things. I'm a little analytical sometimes, and I thought to myself, well, if it's causing this and this is happening, what else is going on? There are other things that I should be concerned about. And so I decided I'm going to take a step back. And that was before I found you guys.
Sure.
Now I'm over 40 pounds down. My wife is over 40 pounds down. I've seen numbers of people do this in a very healthy way. And we're focused on something that's much bigger than weight loss. We're focused on health. And I know you like to say this quite often, but it's an inside job.
It is an inside job. It is. And that's where call me so I can please explain how the body works. Your body's so amazing. What I use is advanced technology that, thanks to people like Nikola Tesla, Dr. Royal Rife, who Dr. Royal Rife, by the way, did show you how to cure cancer. All you had to do is turn the cancer cells off by using frequencies. And we know this because of Nikola Tesla. Nikola Tesla said, if you want to understand the universe, you've got to know what a frequency is. Frequencies control the whole show. Inside this human anatomy of ours is 2,800 specific biomarkers, means they're measurable. 2,800 biomarkers inside your body are controlling whether or not your metabolism is turned on or turned off. And those markers also are attached to your heart, your liver, your kidneys, your gallbladder, your brain, your sleep, the hormones, neurotransmitters. 2,800 individual systems need to be turned on. And when they're turned on, you don't have a metabolism problem, because your metabolism should naturally eat fat. It eats fat. It sure does. It eats fat to convert it into energy for you for the day. Isn't that cool how God made that work? Metabolism burns fat to give you energy. Well, look around. Most metabolisms and people think that, I just got to eat food and I'll lose weight. That's not what turns your metabolism on. It's an inside job, and we got to turn those systems on so that way when you turn them on, just like jump starting your car because the battery went dead, you don't pull the jumper cables out every day. You sometimes forgot where you put them when you might need them again 5 years later. Because you turned it on. It's electrical. Our body's amazing. So, and we were never taught to look at it the way that I explain it. It's just, and it's not our fault.
What's funny about this too, and I want to say, well, I guess it's not funny, but what's interesting about it is when we look at these things, and you even have it here, but when we look at these things, and I did that peptide thing, I lost about 20 pounds. And as soon as I stopped taking it, I found the 20 pounds.
It found you again. Yeah, it just went on vacation because
it's that yo-yo thing,
It didn't fix it.
And sometimes it comes back even worse.
Just like a weed. Yeah, I used to pull weeds. My mom, I was on weed duty all the time, and my mom would always yell at me, like, if you don't pull it out by the root, I had to drop all the weeds off on the deck. She would look at them because she knew I just want to pull the top off and like go back to plain. But she's like, Missy, if you don't get out by the root, it's going to get back. It's going to grow back bigger, fatter, stronger, and it's going to have more prickers on it.
Yeah.
Okay, Mom. Same thing with your weight. You lose it because you temporarily did something and then you stop doing that thing, the peptide, the shots, the shakes, the prepackaged foods, all those things. $90 billion industry out there every year. They don't need to change their marketing because they're doing quite fine. They're doing just fine because they know you're going to be a repeat customer at some point.
No shots, no shakes, no prepackaged junk food, anything like that. It's not keto. It's not like an exercise plan. In fact, Trucker Randy, who's lost all kinds of weight, like almost 100 pounds. The guy looks amazing. He's feeling great.
Yeah.
But one of the things he always just tell me is like, hey, he's trying to tell me about this. He's like, I call it the couch potato diet because you don't have to like work out or anything. I go, that's interesting. I like moving. I like exercise. I like working out. But this is completely different. And he said, you got to take a look at it. By the way, if you want to, 269-964-4044, you can call and have these conversations. I just saw Jessica had a question for you, Missy, in the chat. So give her a call. She'd love to talk this through with you. You can get all the details about how this program actually works because the frequencies and the she's talking about, it's kind of mind-blowing. You really do need some time to sit and digest it all.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, I'm telling you, by the time you get off the phone with me, you're going to see things a lot differently. And I inspire hope. Isaiah 61, setting captives free, has been my motto for the last 25 years. And I love to explain it. So give us a call. I mean, again, no money down. You're not whipping out your credit card or anything like that. Let us have a talk, explain it. And you're like, let me think about this. Sure thing. Call me back. Call the office back. I mean, I've got an office. I've got a staff. I've got everybody. So yeah,
there's Randy right there.
There he is.
Here in the middle. Look at how good he looks.
That after photo was in 2013. He still is the same size because when you turn the metabolism on, you can pretty much, and you're going to learn. It's a consultation, but yeah, that he lost 67 pounds of stored fat. Stored fat is measurable.
Take it off and keep it off because the way they'll walk you through it. Again, healthwithjustin.com, and you can see how you get all of the answers to your questions. The scan is really easy. The consultation is like talking to a friend. It's not invasive or crazy. And I'm telling you, it's like the simplest thing that we've ever done. And I love seeing the impact you're making and the stories that are coming out, Missy. It is incredible.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I'm excited. I love it. And again, I want to kick back on helping other doctors de-prescribe their clients because I'm telling you, I just had a lady that did a 40-day round of fat burn with me. She did 40 days of laser focus, turning on the metabolism, and then we have to lock it in to save all the good results. And see you later. Bye-bye. We're done. But anyways, she let us know she had an aneurysm on her carotid artery, and she's a 3-time cancer survivor, had a lot of issues going on in the kidneys, cysts, nodules, and things like that. And within 60 days, she let us know that doctors cannot find the aneurysm on her carotid artery anymore. Wow. And her kidneys, clear bill of health, There's nothing wrong with them. And the doctors were seeing her monthly. They're like, we'll check you back in 6 months. They're not sure what happened, but okay. So yeah, so that's normal. That's what happens when your body starts to function the right way on the inside. You're gonna lose weight. Obviously, that's what I do. But you're also gonna get your health back. Your body's gonna start to function again at the same time. So it's kind of like a 2-for-1.
I love it. Again, we can't tell you enough about how much we love Missy and the whole team, Charity and the crew at My Pure Health Solutions. Healthwithjustin.com or call them 269-964-4044. Again, it's not your fault that the scale won't move. Maybe you could turn your metabolism back on and get the results you're looking for. Get your life back. And the other great thing is maybe you have, some other health issues that you would like for her to take a look at.
Oh, absolutely. Sky's the limit. You got eczema, psoriasis, you won't have it after 40 days. I mean, I'm telling you, there are so many things that people have that they just learned to deal with because their doctors have told them that that's just how it's going to be for the rest of your life.
Right.
You got PCOS, you're going to just be a really overweight lady for the rest of your life. Wrong. You can't get pregnant. You're going to go spend all your life savings to get pregnant. Come check out and find out what's going on the inside of your body that's causing you to not get pregnant.
Yeah.
I mean, as your body will tell us so many things because it's just amazing how it works. And this is suppressed technology. This technology I'm using was from 100 years ago. Back in the 1920s, when Dr. Royal arrived, listened to what Nikola Tesla said and said, everything's a frequency. You need to either turn the cells on that are turned off, reactivate them, or turn the bad cells off, deactivate those that are not supposed to be in that body. And that's why I know so much of what I know is because I'm watching what is going on the inside of everyone's bodies that they had no clue was happening.
It is incredible. Missy, we always appreciate you. Again, 269-964-4044. Sharon, good luck to you and your husband on your phone call on Monday. Can't wait to hear how that goes. And in the meantime, Setting the Captives Free, the 250th anniversary of independence. I can't wait to see what comes in the future and all the great stories we continue to see. Maha, Missy, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for being here with us again.
And God bless. Happy 4th of July.
You too. There it is. That's another big one in the books, folks. Always appreciate you. Thank you for being here with us. Don't forget to support our great folks that keep this program powered up and moving through it all and despite all the challenges. And My Pure Health Solutions is one of those. Thanks to the folks at MyPillow, mypillow.com/Justin, mystore.com/Justin, Mike Lindell, and the Patriots there. And the America 250 sale that's happening right now. You can find out more on the website at mypillow.com, mystore.com/Justin. Their mega sale happening as well. Some great stuff. And then the gear inside the Justin store. The Jesus Save shirt, the brand new one that's at all the America 250 gear and more at justinbarkley.com/store. In the meantime, we'll say congratulations to Andrew Scuff, who is our winner today, sharing over on Twitter X. Andrew, thank you, brother. Appreciate you as always. Got some gear for you. Just tell me what you want inside the store, and we'll set you up. All right, folks, that's it for today. VIPs, stand by for a quick chat over at justinbarkley.com/locals in the after show. The after party with the VIPs, the remnants on the way. God bless, folks.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come.